Hello, viewers, and welcome to the season premiere of Speechless. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rosenberg, and today we'll be debating the issues that matter. We cover a wide range of topics from politicians to pop culture. Tonight, we'll be debating the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite movement, the late-night MBTA service, and Emerson students making statements. Let's get ready for a fierce fight. Ready, set, Speechless. Welcome back to Speechless, and let's give a warm welcome to our two teams tonight. The Bright Bobcats with Yale Freed and Chandler Puig, and the Magori Marsupials with Devin Francis and Peyton Lewis. Marsupials, how are you feeling tonight?
We feel wonderful.
Pretty good.
I think we're ready to go.
How would you compare yourselves to actor Matt Magori?
Well, we like to think that we are, we're Emerson students. We are good looking.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we go to prison.
Nice.
To hook up.
And Bright Bobcats, how are you feeling tonight?
Right?
Bobcatty.
Do you think you'll have any bright ideas tonight?
I'm sure we'll be full of them, like not puns.
Ha, ha, ha. Okay, it's time for us to introduce our judges. Judges Elizabeth Eigner, Sam Scarfoni, and James Rowland. It's great to have you all here. So what are some of your expectations for tonight's debates?
Well, I'm expecting the best debate I've seen my entire life tonight.
I'm expecting to be persuaded.
And I'm expecting not to be disappointed.
Nice. And it's time to begin our first debate. Oscar season is back, and with it, the Academy has yet again failed to recognize more non-white actors in the industry. Following the reveal of the Oscar nominations was a trending topic on Twitter, hashtag #OscarsSoWhite, and a slew of backlash towards the Academy. The Academy responded by issuing a statement that said, moving forward, measures would be taken to ensure a more diverse Academy in the future. Is the notion of diversity in cinema and the Academy something that will continue to gain traction, or will it lose momentum and be forgotten after award season? Go ahead, guys.
Well, we're going to take the side of this is going to be forgotten. And as regrettable as that idea is, the sheer fact of the matter is trending topics are just that. They trend and then they move on. This idea is a hashtag, okay? There was no one protesting out in the streets. It was a hashtag. Cyber proactivity is not proactive at all, okay? It takes 5 seconds to put a hashtag on there. It takes a whole lot longer to actually go and do something about it. People are going to forget about that, and that's unfortunate.
I think that's a moot point, first of all. I think that people have done things about it. You have Cheryl Boone Isaacs, the Academy president, coming out saying that these are the steps that we're taking to diversify our membership. We're expediting this so that next year, starting already, we have hopefully more diversity in nomination. Also, there was so much backlash, I feel, that you have the performances of Kendrick Lamar last night on the Grammys, you have Beyonce at the Super Bowl. I feel like this moment is coming for people of color, and I think that it's bizarre, I think, to question the reality of a statement that happens to be made online.
And I think you're completely right that action will and have been taken, but you're forgetting the fact that this hashtag didn't start this year. It started last year when the exact same thing happened, and Cheryl Boone Isaac, the Academy president, appointed 350 new members to the Academy who were a diverse group of people. And you know what happened this year? The exact same thing. Change can happen in the smallest of ways, but you know what? The last time an article was written about this was over a week ago. Between the time of the announcements and February 9th, 500 articles were written. You know how many were written since? 0. Okay?
What's the newsworthiness of it? The nominations came out how long ago? The ceremony isn't until the end of the month.
The newsworthiness is that something needs to be done, and yet no one's doing anything about it. That's the
What
point.
has changed in a month? How can we change anything? We're not seeing the production of films that are going to be up for Oscars next year quite yet. We don't have that conversation happening, so what prompts the new articles? I think that's a completely different issue. I think just because somebody hasn't talked about it in the last week doesn't necessarily mean that for the next year or 5 years or 10 years to come that things aren't going to get better. This is the first step. Your problem is that you expect change to be happening over 1 year period. I think this is the first step.
I expect change to be something people continually fight for, not something people talk about for 5 days and then move on from.
Well,
I agree.
When you say that, when you want people to talk about it, how are you just forgetting about all these celebrities that are coming out? Like Will Smith is actively boycotting the Oscars this year.
You have
First of all,
President
that's not an
Obama.
active boycott. That's a passive boycott. He said, "I'm not going," and he hasn't talked about it since. Passive
Okay, but
is.
it's still present in the media. People are still
it
coming out
hasn't been
about
present in
it.
the media. No one's talking about it since. It happened for one day, and then after it moved on. Chris Rock, who's going to be hosting the Oscars, will hopefully say something that night, and hopefully for that night it will be talked about. But the sheer fact of the matter is the Oscars is one night. We're talking about the future of cinema and the future of this industry, and I don't think that change is going to come from this movement. The change
here's the
can come
thing.
from a variety of other things.
Here's the
from
thing, I
more
think
diverse
changes
filmmakers in general.
Changes have already been being made. You have platforms like Netflix, platforms like Amazon Prime that are opening doors for people to tell stories of people whose narratives have not been heard before. You have Transparent. You have Fresh Off the Boat. These are on Transparent on Amazon Prime, but major networks, CBS, ABC, carrying these stories of people of color, Scandal, things like that. And I think it's completely ridiculous to disregard that and to say that this
And
isn't
while I
progress.
completely agree, the Emmys, the Golden Globes have been extremely and 100% diverse. You know who hasn't? The Oscars. The TV industry is booming with diversity right now. It's getting massive. And yet, still, the Oscars have maintained this idea of directors and actors for years not being nominated, and they're people of color. That's the issue, not in TV. TV's seen a great diversity boom. I completely agree.
But if the Oscars is the last one to make this change, don't you think that it's
Well, King,
about
it's
time for
certainly
them
not
to
the
do?
last
Oh, it's completely
one.
about time.
It's about time, but it's certainly not the last one. I mean, there's still so much progress that still can be made.
Absolutely.
The fact is,
And that's what we're saying. We're hoping that this is the first step.
Oh, and I
toward that
completely agree.
progress
I
being
hope
made.
greatly.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but very well said, both of you. We now refer to our judges.
Right. So
Gosh, I mean, I was terribly disappointed. I felt that I wish there was more participation from and it was more collaborative. I didn't feel that either side really offered a solution, which really bothered me to the whole.
Yeah, I thought this team, they brought a little more oomph to their argument. I felt like they had some really concrete examples as to why their argument was better, mentioning Will Smith, etc. Whereas the other team, they just kept mentioning how it wasn't going to pick up steam, but they really didn't have much to back that up.
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think that the Magori marsupials, they seem to know a little bit more facts. The Bobcats, they were a little declarative in some statements that I don't think are necessarily 100% true. And both sides, I think, need to focus more on allowing their partners to speak. I think the conversation was dominated mostly by Peyton and by Yale. And I think that's, but
I think
Yeah,
we need
that's-
some more diversity in this
Yeah,
debate.
honestly.
Yeah, that's why I can't vote because I'm just gonna abstain. It's just it was too disappointing.
it's 2 votes from marsupials.
Resident Simon
Too
Cowell,
disappointing.
James
We're gonna
Rowland.
get it from the marsupials
Yeah.
then. Congrats.
All right, it looks like the marsupials were marsuperior. And with the debate this hot, you'd have to be an academy to change the channel. Don't go anywhere. Speechless will be right back.
Lauren, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready to host Good Morning Emerson, of course.
Good Morning Emerson? What's that?
It's the best morning show ever that's on Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m.
Wow, how can I work on this?
Yeah, let's get going. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather.
And we're back. Let's get ready for the second debate of the night. The late night tea service is something very near and dear to many Bostonians' hearts. Boston is a college town, and for many college students, the late night tea service is the only way of making the trek back to campus after a long night out. However, with the rise of Uber and other services like Lyft, suddenly students have an alternative method of transportation. So, with the rise of Uber, is the late night tea service still necessary? Go ahead, guys.
I'd like to start with this one. I want to sort of take the focus off of students coming home from their drunken Alston nights and sort of shift it to like the low-income workers, particularly workers in the restaurant industry, people who are getting out at midnight, 1 a.m. on Friday nights. I've worked in the restaurant industry. I feel that that is a very real issue. I just want to point out the minimum wage in Massachusetts as of January 1st is $10 an hour. I put in the address of a restaurant I ate at in the South End to Uber's fare estimator, and I said, well, what if I lived in East Boston? To get home, I'm paying between $10 and $12, okay? If I live in Somerville, I'm paying between $15 and $17. And I think if I pay $15 to get home, if I teed in and I paid $2 to get there, that's $17 I spend to get to and from work for one night. If I'm being paid minimum wage, before taxes, I have to work for over an hour and a half to pay to get to and from work. That is ridiculous to me. And I think especially for these low-income workers, we need tea service. We're doing an extreme disservice to them. How the heck are they going to get to work?
Well, we have to make it more commonplace. So if you still stay with the tea service and we don't use Uber and Lyft and even Ride, who's for handicap services, if you increase the usage of these services, it becomes more commonplace. When those increase, then price decrease of it. So you can't always say that
I think
Uber...
think about Uber's
The issue with what you're
surge
saying, though, is you're
pricing,
forgetting
though.
about the other aspect. You brought up a great point. You said before taxes. Let's talk about taxes. Because the issue is we cannot afford tea service. It's ranging right now. It was an estimated $2 billion program. Guess what it ended up costing? According to the Boston Globe, who interviewed the MBTA director, $3 billion. Okay, we're $1 billion over budget on a late night program that was a pilot program. It didn't work. It's a pilot program that was put in place as a test. This
And a
is
lot
not
of times
something.
don't work.
I
'cause
do
of
want to
weather
point
and
out, though,
everything.
that as of 2014, 27% of MBTA workers were making over $100,000 a year. You can fact check that. That's on WCVB. It's there.
And that's great, and I'm sure they're making an excellent living, and good for them. But the issue here is not the
That's
MBTA
government
workers.
tax
Yes, I would
dollars.
like to remind everyone the question is, do we need the tea service now that we have Uber?
And I'm going to say we don't. Because Uber and Lyft, the more people who can use them, you suddenly have competitive rates. Lyft, which now offers places in between tracks, in between those areas. Plus, the majority of workers aren't getting off after midnight, which means that you're catering a public service to a niche market, which does not make sense and isn't necessary.
Okay, but I don't think it's fair for the city of Boston to specifically cater to these ride-sharing companies, especially when you have Uber.
They're not catering to the ride sharing right now. They're catering to a niche market.
But if they're
That's
taking away the
specific.
late-night tea service, yes, they're going to cater to those markets.
The issue
because
is you
that's
guys
how
are
they're
looking
gonna
at
get
the
home.
late night market as a given, as
Because
if
that's the
everyone.
topic.
Yeah, but think about the
it's not a
percentage
given.
of Boston's population that's young people that are working in those sorts of industries,
Yes,
service
the
industries that
percentage-
get out late.
the percentage of Boston-
But also, you're
Students-
also increasing job opportunities with Uber and with Lyft, especially for
And you're
people
taking
working
away
late
job
night.
opportunities with just growing the late-night tea
Everything,
service.
we all
And
agree.
also
Of
Bo-
course,
when
we
was
both
the-
agree. Everything is give and take, and we're acknowledging that. But you guys are forgetting that there's another element of it, which is the money it costs to the government, to your own taxes, and to the people who ride Uber, Lyft, Ride, all those programs. For example, the MBTA Assistant Administrator, the Boston Department of Transportation, said that if we continue using this program, he will have to raise 20 to 30% on all disabled riders' ride program. Okay, that's a program specified for specifically ride users. Okay, who are disabled users of the MBTA program. That means their prices go up 20 to 30% just to keep this program in place. It's not necessary. It's unsensible. It's unsensical entirely.
I think you need to think about the consequences that are going to happen. You're going to have people spending way too much money to
The
get to and from
consequences
work.
are already
You're gonna-
happening.
You're
Uber
going to have
has
people.
already
You're
had-
going to have people driving drunk. People.
But those are assumptions that you
Uber's
can't.
already
Are you
had
kidding me? Think about it.
claims of
Think-
kidnapping. They've had people take people out into
Uber has not had
parking
claims of kidnapping in years.
Absolutely. I looked it up earlier today. This is from Gawker. People were taken. This woman was taken to a abandoned lot.
Okay, Gawker is not exactly a credible news source, and I completely agree with you. I know there have been bad instances, and I'm sure there are
Okay,
T
well, you're
drivers who are
acknowledging
driving
that there's
drunk as
been
well.
bad instances,
And
yes.
there's been T drivers
So
who've
do you
left
want
the
to
station
promote
and
that
continue
by
driving.
getting rid of the T service?
I mean, if we're going to talk safety-wise, I mean, being in a train station late at night is not safe, regardless. Calling an Uber right outside your restaurant where you're working that's open 24 hours is safer. And so if we're gonna
I
talk
would
there-
personally disagree. I feel like being in a well-lit area with many people inside a T station
I think
is
it's not, if we're
a
talking
lot
late night
better
hours,
than
there's not a lot of people there all the time. If you go, especially when it's closed and it's closed
Additionally,
down
let's
weather
talk about these
conditions,
late night
too.
hours. The T is currently open till midnight. With our late night hours, we're extended to 1:40, which gives people an extra hour and 40 minutes. So let's talk about the usage of people in those extra hour and 40 minutes that it's currently open. Let's keep in mind when the program was already existed, it was 3 a.m. They've already had to pull it back an hour and 20 minutes because they couldn't afford it.
Okay, and at that, we have to end this conversation. But I think you guys were both on the right track. Judges, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Bobcats. Wait, I'm gonna go with the Bobcats on this one. I think they just offered the best counter arguments to every point that the marsupials brought up, and sort of were just able to sort of have the best reaction, the most sensibility in this argument.
I mean, for me, it was neck and neck until the Bobcats brought up the fact that riders who were disabled would have to pay more, and that really sold me on their argument that the late night is just not working.
Guys, this is so unfair. The marsupials really brought it. They brought credible sources like Gawker. They really laid it out there. There was more. They offered a lot of counter arguments. Where the Bobcats were kind of just they shut down instead of offering strong counter arguments. The marsupials totally won that one.
I don't know. I disagree. I don't think Gawker is
Well,
the
you
most
shouldn't
credible.
disagree.
Let's have another
You
debate.
shouldn't disagree.
It looks like the Bobcats have this one, so these teams are really neck and neck. What a battle. And which team will claim our final round? You'll just have to wait and T. Stay tuned for the conclusion of tonight's episode after the break.
Lauren, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready to host Good Morning Emerson, of course.
Good Morning Emerson? What's that?
It's the best morning show ever that's on Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m.
Wow, how can I work on this?
Yeah, let's get going. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather.
Good to see you again. Chances are, if you go to Emerson, you've heard about the recent marriage proposal at the Ted Cruz rally in Iowa, performed by Emerson students and our friends Kenzie Peach and Arden Yurskis. And yes, performed is the right word because, as most media outlets found out after reporting it, the proposal was in fact a sham. Prior to the reports, many Emerson students took to declaring that this a brilliant act of performance art and a mockery of modern media. However, was the fake proposal really performance art? Let's find out. Debaters, let me have it.
All right, so performance art has to have an artistic statement or something. It's actually a goal that's reaching towards.
Right.
So I looked and thought the only plausible argument, counter argument that could be, okay, if it was for gay marriage, I read that in an article online somewhere. Well, then it had two straight characters proposing in front of an obviously anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ presidential candidate. I don't see how any way that is a performance art. There's no artistic statement. It doesn't make any sense for any political or larger discussion at hand.
What do you guys think?
I think, here's the thing. I think the statement they were trying to make is that Ted Cruz and his Republican colleagues will say, I think that two 19-year-olds who are don't really know what they're doing, but they can get married. But two, loving loving gay couple rather who have been together for years and have their lives together should not be given that privilege. I think that's the exact point. And the excitement that Ted Cruz showed toward them was. That was the whole point.
I think it's a good point, but I don't think it's a point that they intended, which
Yes,
is the
I agree.
question.
No, it was completely ironic.
I agree. It was an interesting point, but Arden didn't walk up to Ted Cruz and say, "Hi, I'm a 19-year-old. I've never kissed this girl. We're not dating, but hey, would you help me propose?" It wasn't performance art. I'd like to take a funny selfie.
I want a selfie. How am I going to get it? I got it.
Yes, it was okay. Let's see how many people we can get to put our news story online. And you know what? They got a lot of people, and they put it online. And you know what? Ted Cruz didn't glean anything from it, and the modern media didn't glean anything from it. The students at Emerson, all we got is people who potentially don't want us to go back to their primary coverage.
I think whether or not you agree with the press that Emerson got from this event, I think that you have to admit that it's relevant and it's significant to.
I don't agree that it's relevant because it's two people.
It's two theater kids who are doing who are acting. That's what they want to do, and I think it's
two theater kids who tweeted about. Wouldn't this be a funny idea? Yeah, it would. Oh, we got on news. What should we talk about? This seems like a relevant idea.
Okay, I have a question. Does it matter if they intended to make a statement if they ultimately did make one?
100%. Performance art is about a performance. It's not about let's be somewhere at the right place at the right time and afterward come up with a meaning, okay?
Who are you to say that, though? I think that...
I'm a performance artist. I'm right here.
Subjective.
No,
if you don't get something out of it, that doesn't mean that it isn't art. Andy Warhol can put a picture of Campbell's soup, and people will buy it for $5 million.
And that's extreme, and that's interesting in Andy Warhol. And Andy Warhol has a lot of fans, and he has a whole lot of people who think that what he did didn't make any sense, okay? There are people on both sides of this. There's not a whole lot of people arguing that this was performance art.
Didn't understand the art that was coming through.
But I don't think
I understood
it wasn't even the artist's intention. See, Andy Warhol, when he created these masterpieces, he had intention with them. At least he did.
Yes.
I don't think
Who's to say that they don't have intention?
Actually,
what's your
I have
point?
someone in my class that you know how the story came about. They literally, the selfie wasn't a joke. They literally just wanted a selfie.
Yes, this was an actual selfie
competition
contest.
That the whole group that went to Iowa
It began
had.
with a day taking selfies with candidates. Prior to that, it was Marco Rubio, it was Jeb Bush, and who came next? It was Ted Cruz. And guess what? They also had a lot of reporters and people clapping. It wasn't performance art because none of the people there.
I have a statement from Arden Yerskis that I would like to share.
Go ahead.
I would love your shared statement. Was it signed by? What was it signed by him?
He said, "quote
He said it.
All comedy is inherently disrespectful, and as long as I made some people laugh and others think about what I was trying to say, then what I did was successful." And I think the only people. The fact
Hold on, let her finish.
The fact that we're even having this debate, the fact that it's in our minds that perhaps they were trying to make a statement against gay marriage, I think, or against Ted Cruz's
We are having this debate
positions
because
on
he
gay
tweeted
marriage.
about it.
I think
Don't
that
cut
means
anyone
that their
off.
message was gotten across. I think it's ridiculous that you're even making the assumption that there's no relevance or significance to what they were doing.
We're having this
It's not
debate.
relevant or significance if it's performance art or not.
We're having this debate because the speechless writers decided, let's discuss this. And I agree, it's worth discussing, but it's worth discussing in the sense that, wow, that kid did something funny, he tweeted about it, isn't that funny? Comedy is not necessarily performance art. In fact, he took a selfie with a presidential candidate. I'm sorry, taking pictures is not performance art.
How would you define art?
I don't think you can
But
define
that has an
art,
artistic statement.
but I
If you
think
can't
you
define
know it.
art,
I
then
think
how
you
are you
know it when you
undefining
see it,
this
and the
as
fact is,
performance art?
You can't use the Supreme Court definition of obscenity to say that to define art. That's ridiculous.
I can fully use that
I mean,
because
art,
the
you
Supreme
either
Court
or
put
you
it there.
don't.
If you look at the
And-
Merriam-Webster dictionary, if you look up performance art, you see it's a non-traditional
Just because an
art
old
form.
English woman knows art better than anyone
let
else.
us-
What's the statement? What's the statement?
Often with political or topical themes that typically features a live presentation to an audience at a Ted Cruz rally, perhaps, and draws on such arts as acting, poetry, music, dance, or painting.
My issue with this is
Acting.
I don't think that he had that intention. See, if he doesn't have the intention to have political commentary, social commentary on the issue, then there's no way
I think
that it can be performance
just
art.
because you
Which
you
came
perhaps
first?
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I wish we can keep going, but we are out of time. It is getting hot in here. So let's cruise right along to our judges and But before we do that, we're going to check in with Kim Wilborn to see what people on the street thought.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Wilborn, and I'm the segment host for Speechless. Today we'll be asking some students about the fake marriage proposal at the Ted Cruz event. Emma, have you heard of the fake proposal that Emerson students did at the Ted Cruz event?
Yeah, I have.
What was your initial reaction?
I was surprised. I thought it was really funny and like interesting, and I was like, why would they do that? But it was funny.
I was pretty impressed. I think that's a really good way to point out Ted Cruz's hypocrisy.
My initial reaction was that they were just doing it to be trolls. Just not that they had like any sort of agenda or trying to make a statement or anything. I just like heard about this and was like, oh, they were just doing it to like make fun of Ted Cruz.
I thought it was kind of funny.
I'm Arden Emjerskis's biggest fan. He is the meme king of Emerson College. I think him and Kenzie Peach really did something wonderful this week.
I don't see the joke because a marriage proposal, like, it's not, I don't know, it's not much of a joke. He responded to it in a natural way that you would normally respond to someone doing a marriage proposal. So I guess I don't see what they were trying to like pull on him.
I actually saw that happen. I was in the background of the picture that went viral.
Awesome. So what was your initial reaction once you saw it live?
I was hysterically laughing. You can see that in the back of the picture.
So do you think it was performance art?
Yeah, absolutely, it's performance art.
Probably not, but like who am I to say like what their intentions were?
Well, they labeled it as performance art. I guess it can be considered as performance art because it wasn't real.
How do you think it reflected on Emerson as an institution, as a college?
I mean, I don't think it's a positive or negative effect, really. It's just kind of something people did. It's gonna like fade into obscurity.
I mean, whatever. I thought it was funny. I mean, maybe it reflects badly, but I think that's pretty bogus.
Lauren, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready to host Good Morning Emerson, of course.
Good Morning Emerson? What's that?
It's the best morning show ever that's on Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m.
Wow, how can I work on this?
Yeah, let's get going. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather.
And we're back. I'm still recovering from that last debate. I'd also like to thank Arden and Kenzie for allowing us to use this subject on our show. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, let's see what our judges thought of that last debate. Judges.
I have to go with the marsupials. I thought they were really concise. Also, Yale, can you cite that source where it says that we don't want them back in Iowa or at any presidential caucus? No, you probably can't. Can we go on to the next judges?
I gotta agree with you. I thought the marsupials were a lot stronger of a debate. They say that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, and I think they really got that well.
Yeah, this was a close one for me. You know, I was on the fence for the majority of the debate, but I do think there was the marsupials who walked away with the stronger argument in the end. I thought that the other team had a weak argument in comparison. I thought it could have been more fleshed out, had some more substance, but it fell apart on the definition of what art is, and I think that's why the marsupials took this debate.
Oh, there you have it. All right, that means that the Magori Marsupials are the most qualified team for this game. And that means that you're our winner. So congratulations to both teams involved. And that's all we have tonight. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rosenberg. And until next time, stay speechless, everyone.